Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Daybreak on Trust Television. It's a special day for the Daily Trust family, the Media Trust family, I beg your pardon, publishers of Daily Trust, as well as your darling television station, the Trust TV. It's the 21st Daily Trust Dialogue. It's happening today, and it's going to be power-packed. We have the creme de la creme of the Nigerian society who have indicated interest to be part of today's conversation, especially in x-raying the president's economic reform. Nigerians would agree that the last year is one of the toughest in our recent history, where we have had to contain or condole with a whole lot of reforms, baskets of reforms happening virtually at every aspect of our life, from the economy to several other aspects of our lives. And it's about time, that we sit down, take stocks, and evaluate these reforms and chart a way forward, such that at the end of the day, Nigeria would be a better place. It promises to be an exciting engagement, and to that end, we would have one or two members of the organizing committee, giving us the details of what today's event would be like and how you can be part of it right from your living room. You can be sure that we bring you all of the important engagements at today's event. My name is Sunday Michael, and thanks for joining us this morning. We move straight now to the highlights of the stories that we have for you this morning. Education Day, UNICEF urges immediate action on school safety. No plan to move federal capital to Lagos. This is coming from the presidency. An alleged 4 billion naira fraud. Obiano pleads not guilty, granted bail. And moving on to the details, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has urged Nigerian government to develop immediate actions towards boosting the safety of students in schools. This was as the Inclusion Project called on government at all levels to prioritize education by injecting more funds and ensuring safe and quality basic education for all. In a message yesterday to mark the International Day of Education, UNICEF cited a recent evaluation which indicates that on the average, only 43% of the minimum standards for safe schools are met in about 6,000 schools assessed. United Nations General Assembly proclaimed January 24th as the International Day for Education in celebration of the role of education for peace and development. The theme of this year's edition, Learning for Lasting Peace, serves as a reminder to all stakeholders, including government, development partners, and civil society, communities, and educators, of the importance of providing safe learning environment. Moving on, the presidency has said President Bola Tinubu's government has no plan to move the nation's capital from Abuja to Lagos. Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, who gave the clarification yesterday, explained that the recent controversy that had been sparked by moves by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria to relocate their departments from Abuja to Lagos was misrepresented. Ononuga said the movement of FAN to Lagos had nothing to do with moving the federal capital, adding that the conspiracy was fueled by dishonest ethnic and religious champions. He disclosed that the movement of FAN, a Department of Aviation Ministry, to Lagos, where it was based before former Minister Hadi Sirika moved it to Abuja during the last administration, does not amount to moving the FCT to Lagos. And on other stories, the Economic and Financial Crime Commission has arraigned former governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, on a 9 count of alleged 4 billion naira fraud during his time as governor from March 2014 to March 2022. The 68-year-old was arraigned before Justice Iang Ekwo of the Federal High Court, Abuja, and pleaded not guilty for the money laundering charges leveled against him. The prosecution said he has 14 witnesses lined up to testify against the former governor. On his part, counsel for the AFCC, Sylvanus Tahir, asked that he be remanded in the custody of the anti-graft agency. Obiano is currently on administrative bail granted him by the AFCC, which include providing two sureties who are directors in civil service and own landed properties in Abuja. The court also stated that the immigration will be alerted that all travel documents are with the court. And moving on to some of our packages this morning, across several rural communities in Kano State, grains like sorghum are often neglected as staple foods due to the difficulty in processing, even though such foods holds the key to healthier living. To address this, Center for Dryland Agriculture at the Bayero University, Kano, unveiled a groundbreaking initiative revolutionizing local diets with an improved composite sorghum flour. The project aims to improve the availability of safe, nutritious, and sustainable local foods, addressing climate change and challenges. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim brings us more.
Bayero University Kano Center for Dryland Agriculture's recent research focuses on creating sustainable packaging solutions for composite sorghum flours. The research was initiated to address grassroots problems of processing, reduce import, and promote food security.
One of the reasons why people are shifting to new food is that these ones are easier to prepare. You easily get maize flour anywhere and package already. You can come and cook. Rice is from Buhu to Rumbu to Port. So they thought, okay, why not do research and bring ways that we can make our indigenous food, indigenous crops like sorghum, millet, and so on, also in a similar way.
Even the rural market, you don't find semi-processed food of sorghum or millet. You will see garim dawa, you will see semovita, you see yam, you see rice. All of these are things that within 15 minutes you can prepare. This is what majority of the populace are looking for. And this project has given us this opportunity to start it in Nigeria.
According to researchers, the composition of sorghum, soya beans, and cassava flour doubles protein content while addressing issues in food processing, distribution, and storage.
Preparation time it takes that it discourages people to use such combination, then it had been reduced now. So we hope, because we did it with our locality in mind, with our consumption patterns. Most people consume tuwo, but they go for the easiest. Those that can afford consume semovita. Others consume other ready flours that are not so nutritious. So with the introduction of this, we are hoping that with time, it's going to overshadow or overcome the other flours, and we are going to see the changes in the health of people that consume it because of its nutritional benefits.
It is hoped that these collaborative efforts enhance local diets and empower Kano's sorghum farming communities. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News.
Very interesting story there from Abdulaziz, and we hope that we will continue to see more and more initiatives like this taken up by our Ivy Towers. It is time for our intellectuals to move into some of these gaps that have been identified. We cannot continue to produce crops in this magnitude and yet fail to process them in the way and manner that the market will be willing and ready to offtake, because once processing is taken care of, it basically means people can offtake and go straight into preparing for meals. And to think of the nutritional value of sorghum is definitely something we want to consider on a broader scale. And now moving on to the Japa syndrome, residents of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, have expressed worry with the increasing number of young Nigerians who continue to depart our shores on a daily basis in search of greener pastures abroad. They are asking the government to initiate and execute policies that would discourage Nigerians from seeking better opportunities outside the country, even at a great risk to themselves. Jimmy Azande brings us this report.
People will continue to leave, flee from this country simply because they have seen that there is no hope. What sustains a human being is hope. When a human being feels that tomorrow is going to be better with me and my household, is definitely going to lie low. But where you see that the future is bleak, today is not sustainable, then the best option would be for you to move out.
Japan's syndrome or capital flight is a mass migration of young folks to foreign countries in search of jobs and comfortable living. The phenomenon has been blamed on bad governance in Nigeria over the years.
We do not have any other country. This is ours. And for us to have it, change for the people to like Nigeria and want to stay back to work and earn a living and to also live a robust life, we need to restructure every aspect of our citizenship. We need to restructure our government. We need to restructure politically. We need to restructure economically. And when these things are done and put in place, people would want to stay back in the country.
So most of the foreign countries we patronize are run by private investments. So if you don't look up to the government and see how you can improve in your own units, you can improve your well-being by your own idea, it's better to stay and work it out.
Reality of it, life is not much better, because we can also make life better here if our government and our policy makers are serious about putting certain things in place.
They are hopeful that President Bola Tinubu will implement policies that will better the economy and provide opportunities that will discourage the mass movement of the workforce of Nigeria to other countries. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
I think we are not telling the stories of some of the challenges that those who have left the shores of this country are currently enduring in their new locations. As they would say, the grass is not always greener on the other side. But of course, there had been challenges to the government to improve the situation economically and of course security-wise, and so that you can retain some of your brightest minds. No country grows by basically just producing human resources and shipping them to other climes. So moving on to other stories, as concerns continue to mount over the rising insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory, transporters are calling on the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, to implement a comprehensive database system aimed at enhancing security and ensuring a smooth flow of transportation in Abuja. Habibat Ajayi reports on the move by the minister to ban unmarked buses and taxis from operating in the capital city for safety reasons.
The reoccurring incidents of one-chance criminals in Abuja has become a public concern, which has led to plans by the Wike administration to propose plans to ban unmarked vehicles from operating public routes as a stopgap measure to address insecurity. Over the past weeks, many unsuspecting commuters have fallen victims to criminals who masquerade as taxi drivers, engaging in robbery, assault, and even murder.
What we have tried to do now is, which we did not do in December, but which by the grace of God, by this February, we think we are going to achieve that. We are not going to allow vehicles that are not with FCT color, which is being registered by the FCT, to apply commercially. In that way, this driver is being approved by the FCT, and the buses or the taxis are approved by the FCT. So you as a passenger will not take the risk of going to enter a vehicle that you don't even know. Uber will have to be registered too. It has to. Who are these drivers? We need to certify them. You need to profile them by the security agencies. This is a city. If you don't have rules, it will be a problem.
As a result, residents and drivers in the FCT are advocating the establishment of effective measures to restructure the existing transport system in the nation's capital.
Due to what the minister is saying, is right for FCT this thing, but the only thing is that I've been in Abuja for so many years. There are some estates you can never work in Abuja. There are some estates where we say, yes, you know, people use taxi driver. which they will told you that unpatented, even though with the University of Abuja is among of all these places. If you go ever be state now to carry a drop now, somewhere if you are unpatented, they no go allow you enter.
Understand me? It's supposed to come down to the driver and ask them, what do you people need? How do we incorporated you to this arrangement that we are making? Then the driver would say, like, they're supposed to create a park, a proper park. This one is not a park, proper park for us. And they collect their revenue, you understand me? And they pay some of the people that they needed to pay, and the driver will work successfully.
If you know you're a transporter in Abuja, they did it before. They take their datas. They take their datas capture. They can join them with maybe use one organization or the other to join with a national union, combine them together. Make sure that every driver that is applying inside the FCT are data captured. Then they have their code. NIN has code that you can use to identify driver license, that you can use your code and put.
The initiative is designed to streamline vehicle appearance, which will lead to achieving uniformity and standardization, with further efforts and modalities expected to address the broader challenges within the FCT transport system. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Interesting reports there on how to secure the Federal Capital Territory, but some Nigerians would say the comment of the FCT looks, or rather sounds, very simplistic. Bans alone would not arrest what has become a menace in the Federal Capital Territory. And as you heard some of the taxi drivers complain, there are several places where colored taxis cannot access in the city. We hope to see something a bit more comprehensive, all-encompassing, that infuses some technology in the fight against criminality. The FCT minister perhaps would need to say more, or think outside the box, bring in 21st century approach to fighting security rather than just ban and prevent people from going about lawful businesses. These taxis that are not exactly colored in the cities, that do not adorn the city colors, operate in other places, and somehow they've managed to keep the city safe. We may want to look at one or two examples so that we can borrow for a city as the one we have here in the Federal Capital Territory. And talking security, the Commissioner of Police of the FCT, Haruna Garuba, has restated the command's commitment to safeguarding the lives and property of FCT residents. CP Garuba stated this while parading suspected kidnappers and armed robbers at the command's headquarters in Abuja. Noel Sampson was there and brings us more.
The arrest and subsequent parading of the suspects is coming after weeks of reported cases of kidnapping incidents in the FCT, which led to the launch of a special intervention squad by the Inspector General of Police to curb the menace of kidnapping and banditry and other sundry crimes in the FCT. The commissioner stated that many kidnapping suspects have been arrested and victims rescued, adding that various categories of arms, ammunition, and vehicles were also recovered from the suspects.
Several heinous crimes in the last few weeks have been prevented by the police command in the FCT without people knowing all these efforts that we have undertaken. It is when it does occur that members of the public get to know about it.
He also gave an update on the security situation in the Krudu area of the FCT, where 2 persons were kidnapped last week.
We have undertaken a holistic view of that area. We have mapped out the area, and the patrols is ongoing, at least for confidence building on the members of the public. Krudu is, for now, peaceful and calm, ditto to Buhari, as is, since we made a deployment, massive deployment in that area. We have not had any single case of kidnapping since then.
Some of the suspects admitted to committing the crimes they were arrested for.
The initial plan was not to take anybody along. Understand me? The initial plan was not to take anybody along. But it was Yellow that insisted the man should be Yellow because he wanted to collect money from his account. The initial plan was just to, I don't know if you're hearing me, the initial plan was just to snatch the car and go away. That is it.
In Kaduna or in Abuja?
In Abuja, yeah.
Some man driving motor come. They drive to the front of that man. They block the man. So the one at the front, the one that carry gun, shoot the tire of the man. Shoot the tire. He shoot the tire of the man. That time they have already blocked.
What was the aim and objective for the patrol?
After he shoots the man tire, they now run to the man. They carry the man. Because I was in the back seat, 4 of us. They carry the man, come join us for back there.
I tried to steal items from inside someone's car.
Yeah.
At FAB Global Estate.
So how were you caught?
While I was inside the car, while I was searching the car, another car pulled up. I think he's a security in the estate. He pulled up, so I left the car. I opened the car and I ran.
So is this the first time I've done this?
Yes.
The Commissioner of Police emphasized the need for collaboration between the residents and the police in the area of information sharing to help curb crimes in the FCT. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Way to go. We want to see more of this arrest. As the Commissioner of Police said, we also want to see more deployments for confidence building as people are beginning, to withdraw from social activities, and that has some great consequence for the economic life of the FCT. And still talking criminality, no fewer than 30 persons, mostly children and women, have been killed by assailants in Kwahazla Lake village, a community in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. President of the Magwavul Development Association, Joseph Gwamkat, said the attack occurred on Tuesday night while residents assembled at a compound in the village to observe the curfew imposed on the local government by the state government. Houses and properties were also destroyed in the attack. 2 other communities of Kinat and Mariana on the borders of Mangu and Barkin Ladi local government areas were also attacked same night. Sources indicated that aside from the attacks at Sabongari and Mangu, the attackers unleashed terror on other communities. The police in the state have since confirmed Tuesday night attack on Kwashala Lake village as well as the burning of market and worship centers in Mangu town. To ascertain the casualty figures and level of destruction, the DSP Alfred Alabo said the police were yet to ascertain the casualty figures and level of destruction as investigations were still ongoing. Meanwhile, the 24-hour curfew imposed on Mangu local government area by the government is still in force. And to give us a sense of the development in that area this morning, we have our correspondent in Jos, Ado Musa. Good morning, Ado.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Can you please bring us to speed with what the situation is, especially in the Mangu area of the state?
Well, based on the report we've had from Mangu, the situation has been brought under control because the deployment of security personnel were also seen. The residents of the area confirmed to us that they have seen a lot of security personnel who have been patrolling within Mangu town. So peace is gradually returning at the moment.
All right. Do you have more information around the casualty, the number of casualty in the area, from the police?
No, from the police or other security agencies, we are yet to get the casualty figure. The only thing we've had was what the other groups have given us since yesterday. But no casualty figure has been given by any of the security agencies.
All right, they're accusing fingers from leaders of religious leaders in the community have been pointed towards the security agency. Why so? What exactly are they saying?
Well, the the Christian community, for example, they have been accusing the soldiers of taking sides in their operation, because what they were saying that they will see soldiers leading or rather protecting the Muslim community, and then they also allow them to move wherever they want to move. They also stop the Christian community and then allow the Muslim community to come and burn their houses. And then the same thing with also the Muslim community. They also accuse the Operation Safe Haven, which is a security outfit, of also leading mob to also either kill them or also burn their houses. So these are the accusations we are having at the moment. While the Muslim community is accusing the Operation Rainbow, the Christian community is also accusing the military of taking side in their operation. So this is what we have between the two groups.
All right. We understand that the 24-hour curfew, it's running into its third or so day. Now, are there plans, do you know of any plans by the government to review this curfew, especially as some households will need to restock on food and water?
I don't think if government will make any adjustment because of the situation. Because if you could recall yesterday, the affected communities were not, there wasn't peace in these affected communities, because the situation was very tense. There were a lot of burning of houses. There were a lot of shootings. So I don't think if government will review the 24-hour curfew as early as this, I think they have to wait for a moment to see how the situation will be. But I don't think if government will make any pronouncement at the moment, because this is just what they have been experiencing now. Because had it been maybe the starting scene or experiencing this in day before yesterday, probably they would have made any announcement or pronouncement that, okay, they will make an adjustment. But considering what happened yesterday, I don't think if government will make any adjustment.
All right. We know this is happening in Mango, but give us a sense of what the situation is in the city of Jos, for instance, to avert any spillover of this development on the city. Are you seeing increased security deployment? What's the general sense of security around the state?
Yes, in Jos you hardly see any security personnel, maybe either being stationed at some places, or you see them patrolling. What you can only or what you could only hear from many residents of Jos is they have been condemning the crisis, and there is this fear also that if security personnel do not intervene quickly in these affected areas, there is that likelihood that it will escalate to other places, and just maybe one of the areas that people feel that it may escalate to the state capital.
Thank you very much, Ado, for bringing us to speed. I hope you are staying safe. We'll circle back to you in the course of the day to get more updates should we get any development from this area. Once again, thank you very much and have a great day.
Okay, thank you for having me.
All right, we will take a quick breather. When we return, the Daily Trust Dialogue, the 21st in the series, will be our focus. You don't want to miss any part of this conversation. Please do stay with us. It's Daybreak on Trust Television. It's a Thursday edition, and what is special, it's the Daily Trust Dialogue, the 21st in the series. This has been happening for 21 years and running, and the topic for this year is none other than the economy. I mean, we have all been impacted, the rich, the poor, the middle class, that is if we still have any left as far as the Nigerian strata is concerned. The middle class basically as it stands now, some persons will tell you, is completely wiped off. You are either up there or you're down. and that would form the fulcrum of the conversation at the 21st Daily Trust Dialogue this morning. And who else to do justice to this conversation than one person who has been part of the planning and has been part of this dialogue series and will be moderating conversation as well at the event later this morning. And like we did promise this morning, we will do all we can to bring you this conversation live to your living room. I have the honor and privilege, if you like, to welcome to the studio a doctor with specific interest in public policy, the Deputy Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Trust titles. And I'm talking about no other than Dr. Suleiman.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
a pleasure to have you join us in the studio
Thank you
again.
for having me.
You used to have the privilege of grilling people today. You will be grilled. But nonetheless, it's your forte.
How does it feel to be on the other side, actually?
Yeah, it's a bit, should I say, scared, because I know Sunday and I know you, and I know having the two of you
and
interview
you also
me is not
double
going to
as
be
a
easy.
communication scholar, so you train people to do this. I'm sure you are comfortable putting on this regalia.
Absolutely.
It's the 21st Daily Trust Dialogue in the series, and with all the issues happening in Nigeria, you chose to look at the economy, to x-ray the economy, and you are also bringing one of the top guns in the Tinubu's administration.
Yes.
I mean, it was for no... it wasn't a mistake that his office was couched as the coordinating minister of the economy. But give us a sense of why the committee thought it was important to x-ray developments in the economy.
Thank you very much, Sunday, and thank you, audience, for having me with you. First of all, let me give a little background to the Daily Trust Dialogue itself. You know, it's an annual event, and I think right now, it is probably the most important forum for talking about Nigeria. I'm talking about when serious people gather under one roof, you know, to honestly, objectively, and genuinely dissect and discuss issues that matter to all of us. You know, it has been going on for the past 20 years. This is the 21st edition, as you rightly mentioned, and it has hosted some of the most important sons and daughters of Nigeria and Africa. You know, we have not had Nelson Mandela here, you know, but we have had Thabo Mbeki, former president of South Africa. We have Jerry Rawlings, you know, former president of Ghana. We have had, yes, of blessed memory. We have had former Nigerian presidents and head of state, you know, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former head of state Abdulsalam Abubakar, former General IBB, and so many others. Even former President Jonathan was also here. So it's not an event for just collecting together. It's an important voice on Nigerian affairs. And I will encourage audiences to pay attention to it, you know, today, but also when we replay events in the media, in our newspapers and across our platforms. So to come back to your question, at the planning stage, you know, we were usually following the general template of the event itself, Daily Trust Dialogue, which is to look at what issue is most important, you know, what issue hits at the heart, at the core of the nation right now. You know, that's what a media organization will do. And we thought that, okay, there were about 3 issues which we started, and eventually we all agreed that the main issue right now is the economy. You know, because we have had policies in place right from Eagle Square inauguration ground. President Tinubu started making policy and started implementing them, you know, around the economy. So we wanted to see how far have these policies gone, you know, the economy, the reforms that the president has been trying to make, you know, the removal of subsidy, the palliative mechanisms that follow it, you know, the unification of the Naira exchange market rates, you know, and the consequences that this have had, particularly to the common person. So we wanted to look at the losers and gainers and losers. Who is, you know, benefiting? Who is this working for so far? And who is losing out so far? In other words, an economy is comprised of many different actors, just like a society. You have institutions like banks, financial institutions, and so on. You have companies, you have businesses, manufacturing, and so on. But you also have the average Nigerian person or the average Nigerian family, who are also economic actors, because they go to market, they have salaries, or they don't have salaries. They buy stuffs and so on. So we wanted to know, within this mix of persons, within the Nigerian economy, these reforms, who are they working for and who are they not yet working for? The essence is not to castigate anybody, but to have a thorough analysis of what has been happening so far, so that ideas can help the government to, do what it is doing even better. That's.
If I understand what you're saying, of course, this has really, been speaking to the trend of events. I remember the 19th Daily Trust Dialogue was focused on security, which, of course, for decades at that time we've been facing the problem of insecurity. And then the next one, which was the 20th dialogue, focused on the 2023 election. And that's very, very appropriate, because it was the electioneering year, and this year economy, of course, which actually proved that, we're looking at the trends and what's biting hard in the country at the moment. But my question is, how has this impacted development in the nation? Give us a sense on how important this is to the playmakers in the country, in government, and all the stakeholders in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. You see, that's important, because in the end, it's all about impact. What we can say, first of all, is that we reached out to the government. You mentioned one of the panelists, that is the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy. We are having him as one of the panelists, because they are the ones making the reforms. He is the person, the face of Tinubu,
Nigerian Labour Congress,
as far as the economy issues that you are talking about, development is concerned. So we're having him here to come and tell Nigerians, this is what we think we are doing. This is where we think we are doing well. This is where we think we need to make improvements, and so on, so that Nigerians can hear how government policies will best affect them, and so that they will have information on how they to respond as well. If there are any opportunities for your small business or for your micro business, if you hear it from government, then you can try to avail yourself to those opportunities. But at the same time, we don't want to hear only the government's voice, because, like I said, government is only a part of society. There are others outside of government. There are union, citizens, and so on and so forth. So we are having the president of the Nigerian Union Congress, Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Ajero. Thank you, who represents Nigerian workers, both those who are working for government, but those who are also not working for government, like you and I, who are outside of the government. All of us, that's the majority of Nigerians, So he too is going to have his own comment. He will say, from the position of the Labour, whether or not they think the government is doing right, and so on. And then we have others who are doing businesses, Dr. Victoria Akai, she is coming to speak on the side of business, she represents the Abuja Chamber of Commerce. So development, I think, is not something that happens, immediately, but it's something that is a process, and that if people understand that process, they are better able to take advantage of the opportunities available. So this program for today is designed to show Nigerians that, okay, if the government is, just like we do every day in our newspapers and on this TV and in your radio shows, like, okay, if government is saying that they are doing reforms, what reforms are they doing? In what areas are they reforming? And how are these reforms affecting particularly the ordinary Nigerian person in the streets or in their homes or in their jobs?
At the risk of sounding as a pessimist, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the ordinary Nigerians. The impression would be we have too many talk shops and it doesn't feel like policymakers take some of these conversations seriously. They come in with a mindset to defend whatever policy rather than listening to feedback and make amends where necessary. How do you think the Daily Trust conversation over the years have steered in a different direction? So, you know, as Madia would say, what can we point to, you know, to say these are areas where we think that we have made a very good impression?
Thank you. Thank you for asking Madia's question better. You know, let me put it that way. You're entirely correct about Nigerians having this feeling that all governments do, and all those of us who monitor government do, is just about talking and talking conversations all the time. You know, governance is turned into a talk show, but governments don't listen, they don't pay attention, and then things remain the same, things don't change. To a large extent, that's the general picture. But I hold a different view. I would say that we're not even talking enough, actually. And that the reason why government is not listening is precisely because we're not talking enough. Nigerian citizens are not engaging government enough. And a government engaged is a government scrutinized, is a government monitored, and is a government put on a pedestal that will make it to work in the interest of Nigerians. So I have it the other way around, you know. When we Nigerians talk about government, usually we just dismiss the government. We dismiss the people in government. We dismiss the media. We dismiss everybody. You know, we just castigate everybody. Those who do that become instant heroes. You know, we clap for them and so on. And the problem remains, you know. But sometimes it is precisely because we are not engaging government enough that we are having the situations that we're having in the country. I'll give you an example. In the Kaduna bombing that happened last time, you look at the kind of outrage that followed it, the way Nigerians felt serious that, come on, you cannot be repeating this thing each time the country's own military shooting down at its own citizens in the name of mistakes or errors or collateral damage or so on. So that is engagement. That is speaking. People spoke in the media, they spoke in conferences, they spoke even in local tea parlors and so on. This is engagement. This is good. That's how democracy works, you know. And it crystallized into public opinion. And you can see for the first time, the government admitted that they did this. Before, they would just dismiss it because only a few people will cry and nobody cares, you know. But on this occasion, because the response from Nigerians was national, you know, people everywhere in the country, whether they are from Enugu or they are from Kaduna itself or they are from Jalingo, people thought that this is wrong. You cannot keep doing this. You know, we have had enough of these mistakes that kill Nigerians. And you see, investigative bodies were set up. That's response, you know, and the military visited the families. They made donations, government, you know, and so on. That was the first time this kind of responses would happen, to the best of my knowledge. You know, usually it will just happen. You know, the government or would not even comment on it, you know, and so on, because we don't engage government enough. So the forum. And also when we engage government, we do so in an angry, you know, dismissive manner. But the platform, the Daily Trust Dialogue provides, is for serious people, you know, is for, I don't mean that to say that others are not serious, but, you know, is for, how do I put it, for decent conversation.
People are interested in making
Yes,
changes.
in making changes, you know, both those who are in government and those who are outside of it, you know. And usually, because we are located in Abuja, or maybe because the government, any government in Nigeria, they know the reputation of Daily Trust as an institution. They know that we voice the concerns of the general public. They tend to listen, you know, in a way.
If I may double down on one of the assertions you made, Doctor, you talked about us not engaging enough. I've listened to some economic players who had made statements like, we seem to have a willing reformer in power, somebody who does listen. We have seen cases where critical reports have forced the president to retract certain statements or decisions that he had made in the public place. If we're not doing enough by your own assertion, then how much would be enough? And that is starting from the daily trust. Should we then make this biannual or twice? What kind of strategic conversations do you want to see? And I'm saying this from the point of view of a media responsibility, not just the daily trust. We are doing our bits. What do you want to see with other people? How do we double down and reinforce this conversation, as you know, with communications theory, to make the right impact?
Thank you very much. The conversation I would like to see is of a decent kind, you know. So the first thing we need to change is that, particularly those of us in the media, is that dismissive, angry attitude towards just writing off everybody.
Isn't that justifiable?
Right? No, not at all. You know, the public space has rules. One of the rules is respect for everyone. You know, so if you dismiss somebody's opinion or somebody's position just because they are in the government, or because they are in the opposition, or because they are in a party you don't belong to, or because they belong to organizations that you don't support, or merely because you don't know them and you have not taken the effort to find out more about them. If you do that, then who will listen to each other? And how can listening bring about change? So the first thing would be to change the attitude of how we engage in public conversation in the country, which is to say that let us all agree that there are rules. Let's respect individuals, let's respect institutions. You know, the way people will come to the media and be talking, you know, just dismissing, you know, and making inflammatory comments, making wide-ranging allegations that they have no proof of. You know, let's put that away. I would also say let's begin to use facts more. If you follow the media in other countries, you say they will say 16% of this. We need facts to be able to understand the world. You know, the reason why we need facts is because they are verifiable. You know, you can say that today is Tuesday. I mean, it's Thursday, 25th. If I say that now, you can easily look up at calendar or look up at, you know, and verify whether this is true or not. But if I say today is Friday and your calendar tells you differently, you know, and we do a lot of this in the media. We make accusations and assertions that are entirely pointless, and we think we're having conversations, you know, and so on, because our media is free, you know, and so on. So I would say that let's have conversations of the kind we have at the Daily Trust Dialogue, of the kind we have at the Daily Trust opinion pages, of the kind that we have on the Daily Media Trust TV, Trust TV programs, Trust radio programs, and so on. We don't have enough of that, you know. Like you said, we're doing a bit, but we also want other media organizations to follow through. But it's not enough still. Because citizens also, the whole point of democracy is that citizenship is a job in a democracy. If you are a citizen, you have a job. You have the job of following the news. You have to follow the news about what's going on, because what is going on will affect you whether you like it or not, one way or the other. And your concerns are important to whatever is going on. So it's a feedback mechanism. You receive, but you must also be willing to give. Whether you give or you don't give, you will receive. Because when prices are set, they will not set prices for you differently from mine. Right. So if you are going to receive anyhow, it only makes sense for you to give. So you follow the news, you attend community events. You find estates in Nigeria, large estates. I live in one. There's no any kind of forum in which people can come and discuss issues that affect them, let alone that affect the wider community. We need more of these things, you know. We need citizens who are able to bring out their money from their own pocket to support candidates and political parties that they believe will make a change. This is the job that democracy places on citizens. And unless we embrace this in this country, we will keep thinking that government is not doing enough, but it's actually because we too, as citizens, we are not doing enough.
We know that these things are very important, the dialogue, and as a media organization, it's very important to get feedback and also holding people to accountable for their actions and, you know, their deeds and statements that they've made. So over the years, how has Daily Trust been able to keep track of some of these things that have been said in the dialogue and also feedback mechanisms that have been used over the years?
Thank you very much. That's a very useful answer. What I can say in respect to that, I said you have just broke new ground, you know, that you have just made an important suggestion. You can write, for example, a book, you know, on this alone, because you have done it 21 times, or at least you've done it 20 times, and today you are doing the 21st. You've brought all kinds of people. You can document that experience, the conversations that were held, and also get people to see what impact the conversations you had made afterwards. You know, say for example, after a discussion on security, for example, I remember in the 19th edition when we did on security, which you said, the comments that General Absalam, the former head of state, General Absalam wrote, you know, I mean, the speech that he made was widely reported across all other media in the country, you know, and it compelled the government, I think, I'm not exactly, but it was around the time that the first Council of State meeting was set up by the then President Buhari, you know, because the Council of State meeting had not been holding for a long time before then. So you can say that this is perhaps an impact. You might also say that Council of State meeting doesn't mean anything, because what does it lead to? But it shows that somebody is responding to criticism, because criticism comes from the highest quarters, but also because it was genuinely stated. It was stated without bias and objectively. So I think there must be ways in which it is making impact. You know, in any case, like I said, in a society, in a democracy, we in Nigeria, we want something now, you know, and so on. Some of these things, they happen more slowly, you know, they happen more indirectly, you know. Yeah?
There's an icing on the cake this time around, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I remember the African Person of the Year for 2022 wasn't picked. I think it was chaired by the former president of, it's been chaired by the former president of Botswana. And 2022 it wasn't picked. But, you know, there's a turnaround this time around. And that's the icing of the cake of the event, where the African Person of the Year will receive their award. Tell us about the African Person of the Year award, how it all started, and why we have to bring that of 2023 and then put it together with the dialogue.
Thank you very much. I think part in we used to have the events a little bit separated, but on the same, you know, days, at least on the same week, usually a day apart. Maybe the previous night we will have the African of the Year award, and then the following day we would have the Daily Trust dialogue. The African of the Year award is an important award. First of all, it was aimed to distinguish our organization from other organizations that give awards to just about everyone out there. You know, if you are in government, they give you award. Say, oh, Person of the Year. You know, the leadership gave that to.
They learned it from the academia.
You know,
they
from
distributing
really
degree.
Okay, you know, so they give it to whoever they want. If that person has money, they say, okay, you are the best man, or the best bank, or the best, you know, and so on. And some of these things, it's not that they are wrong. It is that some of them don't have the kind of credibility within the system that you would expect. It's important to give Bank of the Year award. What's wrong with that? It will make banks to want to do the right thing, provided that that award has credibility. It is good for Nigeria to have the Nigerian of the Year award. Any organization is good to give that, you know?
That's right.
But let it have credibility. Let it be that the criteria, the procedure for selecting that person is entirely independent and is based on sound judgment rather than expectations of money through back doors and channels. So that's one area in which the African of the Year was different.
All right.
You know, we wanted to do something that has credibility, and so far that has stood the test of time.
All right. I'm sorry, we would have to anchor at this point. If we go on and on with Dr. Suleiman, there will be no end to this program. And he needs to catch up with preparations as the dialogue will commence in no distant time from now. We've been talking with a media specialist, a teacher, a student of governance, of policy, and media. Dr. Suleiman, it's a pleasure to have you join us in the studio this morning.
Sunday. And you are just as everything you said about me, you are as well, and Baridi as well. You are one of our best.
All right, we will catch up with you the moment we are done from the studio.
Thank you.
You want to be part of that conversation and take your own, make your own takeaways. As he said, governance, or rather, citizenry is a job. And there's nowhere in the world where docile citizenry has led to any kind of reform. You don't want to be, there's really no place in the fence as far as the Nigerian society is concerned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Daybreak on Trust Television, and these are the highlights we have for you at this hour. 4.5 million Nigerians age 15 and above are tobacco users. This is coming from the FCCPC.
And no plan to move a federal capital to Lagos. That's coming from a presidency.
And the FG clarifies setting up of new conditions for passport acquisition and renewal.
Now let's go beyond the headlines and let's take a look at this one that says the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has said that over 4.5 million Nigerians aged between 15 and above are tobacco users, with more than 26,800 annual deaths attributed to tobacco-related diseases. And this is even as it is reinforced the need to launch the Don't Burn Their Future campaign in a resolute move to safeguard the health and future of Nigerian youth. And this comprehensive initiative, it said, will address the alarming rise in young and underage access to tobacco products and aims to curb the detrimental impact on society. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission hinted that the campaign underscores the collective responsibility of individuals, communities, and a prioritized healthcare system and fostering a healthier future for the youth. Speaking on the initiative, the acting executive vice chairman of the FCCPC, Dr. Adamu Ahmad Abdullahi, at the launch in Lagos, emphasized the dynamic nature of sound health, which encompasses physical, mental, and social well-being.
And moving on to other stories, the presidency has said President Bola Tinubu's government has no plan to move the nation's capital to Lagos from Abuja. Special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, who gave the clarifications yesterday, explained that the recent controversy that had been sparked by the moves by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria to relocate their department from Abuja to Lagos had misrepresented the situation. Ononuga said the movement of FAN to Lagos had nothing to do with moving the federal capital, adding that the conspiracy was fueled by dishonest ethnic and religious champions. It disclosed that the movement of FAN, a Department of Aviation Ministry, to Lagos, where it was based before the former minister moved it to Abuja during the last administration, do not amount to moving the FCT to Lagos.
All right, you could say that.
Interesting arguments.
That a lot of people are quite interested in what goes on in the country. But away from that, the federal government has clarified that the new condition introduced as prerequisites for obtaining or renewing international passport were instituted to curb the acquisition of Nigerian passports by non-citizens. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, who stated this in Abuja, said that the new conditions, including the provision of citizenship certificate, a date of birth certificate, and the national identification number, have become critical in verifying an applicant's true citizenship. He explained that the rationale behind the federal government's introduction to new prerequisites for obtaining or renewing international passport, noting that the new condition will prevent non-Nigerians from acquiring the passport, disclosing that foreigners have exploited the inefficiencies of the previous system.
I was just looking at the list of the things you have to provide, and I was wondering whether there's anything put in place that stops a foreigner from obtaining a date of birth certificate in Nigeria.
And that brings us to the state of origin, where we have long queues in different license offices in Abuja, in different parts of the country.
And I shock you not, they're basically for sale. If you can afford the amount, you can procure anyone from anywhere. I mean, you saw the last police recruitment where somebody from Kano was standing in line for a slot in Lagos, and he had all the documentations that were required, if you ask me.
Yes.
Well, I hope they succeed with this, so that I will not be dismissive of government action as Dr.
We're hoping
just
that happens, actually.
All right, across several rural communities in Kano, this is moving on to our packages. State grains. In Kano State, grains like sorghum are often neglected as stable food due to the difficulty in processing, even though such food holds the key to healthier living. To address this, the Center for Dryland Agriculture at the Bayero University, Kano, has unveiled a groundbreaking initiative that will revolutionize local diets with an improved composite sorghum flour. The project aims to improve the availability of safe, nutritious, and sustainable local food, addressing climate change challenges. Trust TV Abdulaziz Ibrahim brings us more.
Bayero University Kano Center for Dryland Agriculture's recent research focuses on creating sustainable packaging solutions for composite sorghum flours. The research was initiated to address grassroots problems of processing, reduce import, and promote food security.
One of the reasons why people are shifting to new food is that these ones are easier to prepare. You easily get maize flour anywhere and package already. You can come and cook. Rice is from Buhu to Rumbu to Port. So they thought, okay, why not do research and bring ways that we can make our indigenous food, our indigenous crops like sorghum, millet, and so on, also in a similar way.
Even the rural market, you don't find semi-processed food of sorghum or millet. You will see garim dawa, you will see semovita, you see yam, you see rice. All of these are things that within 15 minutes you can prepare. This is what majority of the populace are looking for. And this project has given us this opportunity to start it in Nigeria.
According to researchers, the composition of sorghum, soya beans, and cassava flour doubles protein content while addressing issues in food processing, distribution, and storage.
Preparation time it takes that it discourages people to use such combination, then it had been reduced now. So we hope, because we did it with our locality in mind, with our consumption patterns. Most people consume tuwo, but they go for the easiest. Those that can afford consume semovita. Others consume other ready flours that are not so nutritious. So with the introduction of this, we are hoping that with time, it's going to overshadow or overcome the other flours, and we are going to see the changes in the health of people that consume it because of its nutritional benefits.
It is hoped that these collaborative efforts enhance local diets and empower Kano's sorghum farming communities. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News.
Now let's move to Benue State, where it seems the Japa syndrome is taking the headway. So residents of Makurdi actually expressing worry about the increasing movement of young Nigerians into the European countries. I mean, you know, Japa, if you know what I mean. And then they are asking the government to provide, you know, those or execute rather policies that will make young Nigerians stay. Jimmy and Zandi actually have more on the story.
All continue to leave, flee from this country simply because they have seen that there is no hope. What sustains a human being is hope. When a human being feels that tomorrow is going to be better with me and my household, he's definitely going to lie low. But where you see that the future is bleak, today is not sustainable, then the best option would be for you to move out.
Japa syndrome or capital flight is a mass migration of young folks to foreign countries in search of jobs and comfortable living. The phenomenon has been blamed on bad governance in Nigeria over the years.
We do not have any other country. This is ours. And for us to have it, change for the people to like Nigeria and want to stay back to work and earn a living and to also live a robust life, we need to restructure every aspect of our citizenship. We need to restructure our government. We need to restructure politically. We need to restructure economically. And when these things are done and put in place, people would want to stay back in the country.
So most of the foreign countries we patronize are run by private investments. So if you don't look up to the government and see how you can improve in your own units, you can improve your well-being by your own idea, it's better to stay and work it out.
Reality of it, life is not much better, because we can also make life better here if our government and our policy makers are serious about putting certain things in place.
They are hopeful that President Bola Tinubu will implement policies that will better the economy and provide opportunities that will discourage the mass movement of the workforce of Nigeria to other countries. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
And to insecurity, as concerns continue to grow over the rising tide of insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory, transporters are calling on the Nyesom Wike's administration to implement a comprehensive database system aimed at enhancing security and ensuring the smooth flow of transportation in the FCT. Habibat Ajayi reports on the move by the minister to ban the marked buses and taxis from operating in the city for safety reasons.
The reoccurring incidents of one-chance criminals in Abuja has become a public concern, which has led to plans by the Wike administration to propose plans to ban unmarked vehicles from operating public routes as a stopgap measure to address insecurity. Over the past weeks, many unsuspecting commuters have fallen victims to criminals who masquerade as taxi drivers, engaging in robbery, assault, and even murder.
What we have tried to do now is, which we did not do in December, but which by the grace of God, by this February, we think we are going to achieve that. We are not going to allow vehicles that are not with FCT color, which is being registered by the FCT, to apply commercially. In that way, this driver is being approved by the FCT, and the buses or the taxis are approved by the FCT. So you as a passenger will not take the risk of going to enter a vehicle that you don't even know. Uber will have to be registered too. It has to. Who are these drivers? We need to certify them. We need to profile them by the security agencies. This is a city. If you don't have rules, it will be a problem.
As a result, residents and drivers in the FCT are advocating the establishment of effective measures to restructure the existing transport system in the nation's capital.
Due to what the minister is saying, is right for FCT this thing, but the only thing is that I've been in Abuja for so many years. There are some estates, you can never work in Abuja. There are some estates where we say, yes, people use taxi driver. Which they will told you that unpatented, even though with the University of Abuja is among of all these places. If you go ever be estate now, to carry a drop now, somewhere, if you're not patented, they're not going to allow you enter.
Osami is supposed to come down to the driver and ask them, what do you people need? How do we incorporate you to this arrangement that we are making? Then the driver would say, like, they're supposed to create a park, a proper park. This one is not a park, proper park for us. And they collect their revenue, you understand me? And they pay some of the people that they needed to pay, and the driver will work successfully.
If you know you're a transporter in Abuja, they did it before. They take their datas. They take their datas capture. They can join them with maybe use one organization or the other to join with a national union, combine them together. Make sure that every driver that is applying inside the FCT are data captured. Then they have their code. NIN has code that you can use to identify driver license, that you can use your code and put.
The initiative is designed to streamline vehicle appearance, which will lead to achieving uniformity and standardization, with further efforts and modalities expected to address the broader challenges within the FCT transport system. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still on security, the FCT Commissioner of Police Haruna Garba has restated the command's commitment to safeguarding the lives and property of FCT residents. And the CP, who is Garba, stated that while parading suspected kidnappers and armed robbers at the command headquarters in Abuja, Noel Samson was there for Trust TV and now reports.
The arrest and subsequent parading of the suspects is coming after weeks of reported cases of kidnapping incidents in the FCT, which led to the launch of a special intervention squad by the Inspector General of Police to curb the menace of kidnapping, armed banditry, and other sundry crimes in the FCT. The commissioner stated that many kidnapping suspects have been arrested and victims rescued, adding that various categories of arms, ammunition, and vehicles were also recovered from the suspects.
Several heinous crimes in the last few weeks have been prevented by the police command in the FCT without people knowing all these efforts that we have undertaken. It is when it does occur that members of the public get to know about it.
He also gave an update on the security situation in the Kudu area of the FCT, where 2 persons were kidnapped last week.
We have undertaken a holistic view of that area. We have mapped out the area, and the patrols is ongoing, at least for confidence building on the members of the public. Kudu is, for now, peaceful and calm, ditto to Buhari, as is, since we made a deployment, massive deployment in that area. We have not had any single case of kidnapping since then.
Some of the suspects admitted to committing the crimes they were arrested for.
The initial plan was not to take anybody along. Understand me? The initial plan was not to take anybody along. But it was Yellow that insisted the man should be Yellow because he wanted to collect money from his account. The initial plan was just to, I don't know if you're hearing me, the initial plan was just to snatch the car and go away. That is it.
In Kaduna or in Abuja?
In Abuja.
Someone driving motor come, they drive to the front of that man, they block the man. So the one at the front, the one that carry gun, shoot the tire of the man. Shoot the tire. He shoot the tire of the man. That time they have already blocked.
So, what was the aim of objective for the patrol?
After he shoots the man tire, they now run to the man. They carry the man. Because I was in the back seat, 4 of us. They carry the man, come join us for back there.
I tried to steal items from inside someone's car.
Yeah.
At FAB Global Estate.
So how were you caught?
While I was inside the car, while I was searching the car, another car pulled up. I think he's a security in the estate. He pulled up, so I left the car. I opened the car and I ran.
So is this the first time I've done this?
Yes.
The Commissioner of Police emphasized the need for collaboration between the residents and the police in the area of information sharing to help curb crimes in the FCT. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
All right, we will take a quick breather. When we return, it will be newspaper review, where we'll bring you headlines that made it to the front pages of the papers this morning. And our reviewer is ready to go. Please don't go away.
But in a situation where you find that they look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that.
All right, it's newspaper review, and we'll begin as usual with the Daily Trust. Do not forget, today is the 21st Daily Trust Dialogue. It holds here in Abuja and promises to be interesting. If you're anywhere within the capital city and you want some quality conversations this morning, you make your way to the NAF Center, where all of the conversations will be happening this morning. We begin with the major story on the front page of the Daily Trust. Plateau crisis, pregnant women give birth in the open. Children missing as death toll rises to 43, JNI. Christians, Muslims, leaders point fingers at security agents. We are working hard to restore peace. This is coming from the Plateau government, and you'll find the details of this story on pages 3, 4, and 25. It's a pathetic situation in the Plateau. If it is not an attack on one side, it is the communities taking themselves on. I mean, an eye for an eye, they say, leaves the community completely blind. Two other stories: Ondo Governor picks as National Assembly clerk as deputy, dissolves Akeredolu's cabinet. This was to be expected, I guess. Shatima Sultan Abdusalam order profile solution to insecurity in the north. You want to know what they said? You pick today's copy of the Daily Trust and open to page 25. And as I said earlier, the 21st Daily Trust Dialogue holds today in Abuja. Edu, Ajero, others to analyze Tinubu's reform. You want to know what they say? Make your way to NAF Center or stay glued to the Trust TV.
Not to be missed at all.
That's it on the front page of the Daily Trust.
All right, let's move on to New Telegraph newspaper. Screaming so loudly is how Nigerian universities can end Japa syndrome by Olabisi Onabanjo University VC. That's OOU. Writers attached to this story says urges schools to develop workable, practicable curricula. Says mass exodus wiping off Nigeria's cultures. Once as we are moving out, the Chinese are coming in droves. And Nigeria youths, talented, vibrant, ready to compete globally. That's coming from Tinubu. That story is on page 3 and 5. Above that story, Tinubu in Paris on private visit and petrol prices to fall over local refining. That's coming from CBN Governor. We hope to see that in the coming weeks or months. All right, to read further, you might just get that information. 5 and 24, page 5 and 24 has details of that story. Afeni Ferre sacks Adebanjo as acting leader, sets up Elders Caucus. Page 3 has details. Gunmen kill 30 in fresh Plateau attack, 26 and 29. It says as headers intensify hostilities on Benue community. Wow, that's quite unfortunate there. And then Whitney at Deniron's death. I didn't probe inland specialist hospitals report, mother tells court. Page 7 has details of that story. And then we have below, Aidetiwa nominates ex-NAS clerk as deputy governor and dissolves cabinet, sacks Akeredolu's aide. Mieti Allah vigilante in Southwest invitation to anarchy. That's coming from a group. Page 28 has that story. Alleged money laundry as a kicker. Court grants ex-Anambra governor Willie Obiano bail. Adjourns till March 4. That story is on page 5. And while we introduced new conditions for passport acquisition and renewal, federal government, then no plan to relocate federal capital to Lagos. That's coming from the presidency. It seems like a lot is happening in the front of the New Telegraph this morning. You read further. But the last one would be taken is federal government unveils strategies to realize 19.4 trillion naira from tax.
Interesting. One thing I'm a bit lost at is when we describe the president's visit to a place as a private visit. What does that mean? Is it another annual leave for the president after coming out of the one in Lagos in December? What's a private visit? Is it a private visit or, well,
yeah,
I'm sure our reviewer will have some explaining for us. I'm not sure what the private visit you're going. Well, let's leave that to the reviewer. Moving on to the Nigerian News Direct, which celebrates its 13th anniversary. The major story there says CBN wields rod to tame inflation, forex infraction, as Cardoso promises to bring inflation down to 21%. Well, if wishes were horses, even a beggar would ride on one, somebody will say. Stop playing politics. Tinubu has no plan to relocate FCT to Lagos. So who is playing politics, though?
Oh.
That's coming from Onanuga. How non-state actors deprive local government of 500 billion revenue. Oyedele, this is the chairman of the special task force to cut down taxes in Nigeria. We don't know how much work is going on, but he seems to be talking more than he's doing as it is right now. NGS hits new landmarks as all share index crosses 100,000 points. The highest we have had in recent history is 80,000. This is, I don't understand how the stock exchange booms in an economy where everybody is crying.
Yeah, that's what a lot of Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, want to understand. How does it
is only in the Nigerian economy that the banks do better when the economy is down. The stock exchange booms when people can barely eke a living. There must be something people see in this system that probably some of us don't see. And to other stories, Edun Adedeji helps on domestic revenue mobilization, says 77% of IGR increase is possible. I hope this does not translate to taxing people who are already at the verge of collapsing. And FG6, private sector's intervention in developing road infrastructure. And we have there the picture of the U.S. Consul and charge the affair in Lagos, as well as the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, at the brief stopover in Lagos and route Abuja yesterday there with the #1 citizen of Lagos, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, yesterday. And that's it on the front page.
All right, let's quickly look at the Tribune this morning before we start our analysis. We have at the masthead, Naira currently on the value. That's coming from the CBN governor. A federal government targeting 77% increase in IGR. Finance minister making that bold statement, page 6 and 7 in the Nigerian Tribune. And then Aida Tiwa names Adelami as Ondo deputy governor, sacks cabinet. All right, to get that story too, in the Nigerian Tribune, Makinde Adeleke, other PDP Southwest stakeholders meet in Ibadan today. May ratify Ajishafe as replacement for Adegunodo. That's page 5. Get more details. Then on Edo gubernatorial, aspirants snub Oshomole pick nomination forms. He doesn't own a party. That's coming from Izeyamu. All right, Pastor back again. All right, page 11 has details of all of those drama. And then gunmen defy curfew, kill 25 in Plateau local government, and several houses and market burned. Page 13 has details of that very unfortunate incident in a Plateau state. Aftermath of Supreme Court judgment, fears mount over Lagos waterways assets. Page 23 has details. Only 43% of 6,000 schools in Nigeria meets minimum safety standards. And that's coming from UNICEF. That's very, very scary. And then federal government will review concession agreement for 43.2 billion naira Ibadan dry port and others. Page 22 has details. And Ibadan explosion, number of fatalities still unknown, persons still unaccounted for. Residents Association makes that statement. Page 25 has details. And then no plan to relocate federal capital territory from Abuja presidency. Okukpe blast and Dume over comment on relocation of CBN and FAN offices to Lagos. And Kogi senator says Ndume spoke for himself. Page 11, counter and all right, get that detail there.
Interesting. And moving on to the Daily Independent, CBN governor hints on reduction in petrol price and inflation, assures ongoing reform will bring positive outcomes, says Naira currently undervalued.
I can't
FX
wait
to stabilize this year.
Fuel pump price to reduce. I think
when you say the Naira is undervalued, you just leave all of us confused.
Confused.
Are you hinting at a further deregulation? So what's the right value of the naira if
and
it's
in what
currently?
front? Who is undervaluing the naira? I think maybe the details of that report to have all of this information we're looking for.
All right. Abdusalami urges multifaceted approach to insecurity in the north. Edo Guba, Labour Party defends 30 million for fun. Police Service Commission appoints Galadenchi, DIG, promotes 1,897 senior police officers. 8 aspirants battle for a PDP governorship ticket. Alleged 4 billion fraud are now arranged. Trial begins March 4th. The police to go after LGBTQ members in Nigeria when we are battling with insecurity and we don't have enough men to chase after kidnappers. I think the least of our problem is people who do not identify as men and women. I mean, they can continue to exist in their silos while we deploy securities that are paid by taxpayers to something that is useful to society. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's not Daily Trust perspective on this issue. I mean, Trust TV. Tinubu travels on a private visit again. And Ayeda Tiwa sacks Akeredolu's appointees, names Odunlami as deputy governor. We now have joining us in the studio, as usual, every Thursday morning, the editor-in-chief of Dateline newspaper, Amale Nasrel Lawa. It's a pleasure to have you join us. You were giggling when we read some of those headlines, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. You were wondering what exactly what's happening. There are more serious issues, but to start on a lighter note, what is a private visit?
Well, maybe we'll have to go back to the presidency to explain that, because honestly, there are lots of explanations, that need to be given to Nigerians. Who is funding that trip, and then is it something that we are going to deduct from the president's, annual leave or something like that? Because honestly, I don't understand. I am as confused as you are. That's just the reality.
I mean, I wish I could just walk up to my employers. I say, I want to go on a private visit. Just walk out of office in the face of all the things I need to attend to, the insecurities. I mean, the plateau is burning.
Is it a pointer for us not to expect any form of discussion that has to do with development or benefit to both countries? When you say private visit,
it means the state is not expecting you on a state visit, but if you want to take out time to rest, what's wrong with your country home?
So there's a problem now with the people who actually coined the headline saying that the president went for a private visit.
No. It's not a problem with those, because that's what the statement is actually saying.
Okay.
It means the president will saunter into Paris, and before you know it, he will leave without even the president of the country knowing. Maybe they should have, come up with one assignment, so that, but maybe they also don't want the president to appear missing, in Paris. So maybe they're just
because one time he left a certain country and was supposed to be headed home, and then we didn't get to see him at home, and there was nothing that explained where he went to. Then it turned out he turned up in Paris because some persons showed up in Paris. What is wrong with communicating the actual intent? Why do we find it extremely difficult to discuss certain aspects of public officers' life, especially where an illness or a medical checkup is suspected? Because, in the US right now, the health condition of the NSA is a subject of national discussion, and how that impacts on the functionality and coordination of activity in the office. Is this such a big deal to have this conversation in Nigeria?
Honestly, another thing that they are not even paying attention to is the fact that in the absence of credible information, that's when you have all the rumors flying. Some will start telling you that the man even left Nigeria on a stretcher. So many things will now be coming up because you didn't give us the information that we actually need to understand the reason why the president had to be away at this very moment. in the nation's history.
Interesting. The plateau is burning again, and has been for a while, if you like. From the eve of the Christmas, the plateau has not known peace. And it's been one kind of killing, or the other, leading to the current one where the death toll had already touched 43, and if you like, counting. There are accusations and counter-accusations against the security personnel, and the government is basically neither here nor there, other than declaring a curfew. You don't see that concrete step, in trying to halt the killings and restore peace to these places. What exactly do you think is happening on the plateau?
Well, sadly, we should be talking about the security agencies going into Plateau. That's the affected parts of Plateau State to restore peace. But right now, they are also part of those who are being accused, of taking sides. Yes, I know the government has a responsibility to keep the peace, to do certain things so that, we'll all feel secured and what have you. But we should also understand the fact that, the government can only do
so much
because we are the people that are living in these areas. The earlier we understand that we just have to respect, each other and live in peace, the better for all of us. Because how do you explain, somebody that you have been staying, living together with, all of a sudden, before you know it, even right now, the reason for all this violence, nobody knows, and Christians, Muslims, this one will blame this one, and then this one will also issue a counter. Honestly, I don't think that's the way to go. Like I said, the government, their own interest may not even be the same as those living in that community. So the people should understand that they need to, understand, cooperate with one another so that they can have peace, because they are the ones that will be at the receiving end. You are burning your places of worship, you are burning your markets, and then after this you will expect the same government to come and start rebuilding all these destroyed facilities. Honestly, I don't think that's a good way to go about anything.
Well, what can we even do now? Well, let's say the government now, because the government said they are working on it, and then after the election, the tribunal cases and in the Supreme Court, the judgment and all of that, we expected that, a lot of people expected that things return to normal, and we're not seeing this at the moment. What is the governor supposed to be doing at the moment to douse the tension in that place? Because Mangu local government, for God's sake, is one of the safest or the most peaceful place before this broke out in 2023. Now, what can we do differently? The governor, I mean.
I think the governor needs to consult widely, especially with all the stakeholders in the state, especially the fact that from what I read in the papers, he's also from that part of the state. So this is different from any other, locality within Plateau State, because if your own home front, is on fire, honestly, I don't see how you will be able to discharge your responsibility the way you are expected to. So the governor should do what, maybe his predecessors did, the ones that were able to keep the peace for, an extended period of time. Because honestly, I don't like this narrative about plateau and violence, honestly, what we know, even their motto is saying the home of peace and tourism or something like that. So if you allow violence to, throw sand into all that, honestly, we can only blame the governor. And he is also blaming the security agency. So who do we hold responsible now?
The CBN governor yesterday at the NESG event seemed to be spilling the kind of words we want to hear from the mouth of the president or even the coordinating minister of the economy. Is hinting at a reduction in petrol price, in inflation. I mean, we all know a mutual friend of ours posted how he bought a tin of milk for 3,900, an amount that would have bought you an entire pack of 24 pieces of milk because of the raging inflation. He talks about how the current reforms will bring positive outcomes, says the Naira is currently undervalued and that the foreign exchange will stabilize this year. That is, I mean, we have waited so long to listen to Cardoso sound this way. How reassuring do you find some of this statement? Do you find this statement essentially?
Well, I don't think they are essentially different from, statements made in the past, So many have spoken about reducing inflation, stabilizing the foreign exchange market. They've even borrowed money to do that, but we are still here, people still making promises. And if you are talking about the fact that Naira is undervalued, the first thing we'll ask is by who? Whose responsibility is it to actually even place a value on the Naira? So honestly, sometimes these government officials speak as if they are also part of us, that's outside the government. This is something that I will expect somebody maybe seeing developments within the government to say, okay, we are likely to see ABC in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But then you also have the same officials making the same promises. And then by the end of it, nothing will change. So honestly, if you are saying we'll gradually see a reduction in the price of petrol, well, good. But let's see it. Just talking about it, honestly, will not help our situation in any way.
It does appear that...
Let's talk about, another government agency, the Ministry of Interior now, the passport and then the new prerequisites for acquiring this passport. You have to have a lot of, documents in place for you to even renew your passport these days. How do you think this will actually curb what the government is saying that they want to curb for foreigners not to have a passport?
We're still battling to do the NIN, and then you are talking about all. The problem is, before you know it, all these documents is talking about, well, foreigners can get them, because they've been participating in elections according to what so many people have said. How were they able to even obtain the voters card?
That's right.
They gave you an address, you have their passport, photographs and everything, and still they are able to participate in
and
things
you can
like
get the indigent certificates.
So I've seen a newspaper advert telling people to come to them for any state indigent certificates. They will do the procuring for you. Don't even have to pay to leave. They just pay them the money. And they will do the procuring for you.
So that's a serious problem. Just saying this, unless if you are going to follow up on it to make sure that people do the right thing. Honestly, I don't see this stopping foreigners from obtaining Nigerian passport just because we have...
And you know the interesting dynamics about the way Nigeria functions? If you go for NIN, they will ask you to bring a driver's license. If you go for a driver's license, they ask you to bring a birth certificate. If you go for a birth certificate, they will ask you to bring, each of them is relying on the other and not fetching any original information or anchoring whatever they issue to you on any investigations.
And then you see that an affidavit can annul some of these things.
And the affidavits are also for sale, by the way. If you can afford it, you can procure an affidavit and you can change your name in the morning and procure another affidavit to change it to something else by noon, and by evening you are a different person by the laws of Nigeria. It's crazy how these things work. I mean, just for the fun, if you like, the police is telling us that they are increasing surveillance and they are going after the lesbians, bisexual, gay, and transgender community. Is that what we need at this point in time, where we are crying about the ratio of police to citizenry and the level of insecurity in Nigeria?
Well, I don't know why that will the police will have more interest in that, rather than the kidnappings, the violence, the one chance, all this violence, all these criminalities that are taking place. I don't know why this particular one something that, maybe consenting adults, away from the prying eyes of the press, especially. But then you have interest in that when we are still battling with issues of kidnapping and what have you. Yes, if Nigeria has a law, making that illegal, yes, you have a responsibility to do it. But why the interest? That's just the problem that I have. The interest that they are showing. Honestly, all this gung-ho approach should be channeled towards fighting insecurity rather than things that, as far as I can see, we can barely stop it, because if people are doing something within the confine of their own houses or inside their rooms, how do you even know what they are doing?
Monitor police.
Yeah, so honestly.
Let's travel to Edo State. We've seen how the dramas are ensuing and how the political scenery there is developing prior to the elections. Pastor Ezeyamu is back.
Yeah.
And then we see all the candidates, so even the APC have had their own share of disagreement. What's your take on what's happening in Edo State before the election, governorship election?
Well, it's to be expected. Sometimes we think the moment we are able to get the ticket of a particular political party, then we are just like elected officials in waiting. Well, for Pastor Ezeyamu, I also saw an interview with him in one of the channels, talking about his relationship with Adams Oshomole, how he's disagreeing with some of the things that are currently happening within the APC. But the fact that even the APC is expecting to make, like $1 billion or so naira just from the sale of forms, honestly, it shows that, so many people are in the race, some for reasons that they have not actually told us. But for Pastor Ezeyamu, because that's the one that I can see, making, being in the opposition, because the ruling PDP in the state has already made clear its choice. The governor is supporting a particular candidate, even though his deputy is also trying to see how he can be part of the action and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One other story item I would like you to touch before we let you go, it's the comment by Oyedele, if our producers can put up the Nigeria News Direct. Only 24 hours ago, he was talking about how non-state actors can be incorporated in collecting revenues for local government. And today he's saying non-state actors deprive local government of 50 billion revenue. And we are at a loss. Everywhere we drive in this country, you see them wielding cutlass, stopping these Okada riders and issuing little tickets of 100 naira, 200 naira. If you drive, what's it called, a space wagon, you are in trouble, because even with your family, they will allege that you're doing school runs. That's what they call it. And they would want to take out all kind. You can't even drive a pickup in Nigeria without having some kind of registration. And these guys come out, they don't put on any uniform. You can't even identify them with any. They jump out in a gangster.
And they work with the police.
And take money we don't know where it is remitted to. You're saying it cost us 50 billion, and in one full breath, first we are also saying you can work with them. What exactly should we take the route of digitizing these operations, and finding other way of holding people to account, or continue to allow these boys fester and do whatever? In some cases, if you drive, they could break your windscreen, deflate your tires, and nothing happens.
Honestly, technology has made so many things easy. If we can, employ technology, there are so many things we can do without, our officials risking their lives to be on the road, because sometimes they jump,
in front of this
a moving vehicle, and that's a serious risk. But just with technology, you can flash somebody's maybe number plate to be able to know that these papers are valid, things like that. But honestly, I don't know how the situation that we are in will help in generating more revenue, especially now that the FCT minister is also talking about the fact that they want to stop unpainted taxis, from plying the roads, because the transport, they are not enough. The ones that are, we know, that are painted and what have you, they are not enough. People just have to make living.
Even if they're enough, the criminal elements are deploying ways to use these paid taxis for one chance. I think, some Nigerians have expressed worry about some of these people flying the road, because once you're using maybe a means to curb insecurity, these people are very smart people. And they're looking for ways.
We reported here of how they commit crime with a plate number, and once they are done, they change it to another. So it could be a painted taxi with a fake plate number.
So what do we do beyond the painted taxi? What do we do beyond
Honestly,
that?
that's what the government should, try and come up with. Because, look, we are not talking about all these hail ride platforms. You have Bolt and what have you. And then they're even saying that they're going to start profiling
those ones.
Already, their profiles all over the place. So, honestly, the government needs to change its tact, because right now, I don't think what they are doing is making any sense.
All right. The government needs to change strategy. They need to change tactics. And in the 21st century, we are not lacking, in solution. There are several solutions out there that can help the government curb the menace in the FCT. That's the much we can take on Newspaper Review this morning. I want to thank you very much for finding time to be here.
Thank you.
And I hope from here you are also headed to the venue of the Daily Trust Dialogue.
Of course.
Oh, yes. I also want to be part of that dialogue, because, like the Minister of Finance, we've had so many things about him, but honestly, I've not been able to translate all the things I have read about him. So maybe this is an opportunity for me to hear from him.
And ask questions.
Yeah, and ask questions.
All right. And that is also an opportunity for you, wherever you are, physically at the site or right there in your living room, to be part of that conversation. And I'm sure there would also be opportunity to ask questions to the managers of the economy and get enlightened and get informed about the government perspectives on some of the things that we see happening. And that's the much we can take today. If you have missed out on our show, please do well to follow our social media handles to catch up. But there is a lot of catching up that will be happening today. You can also follow the dialogue on our social media handles today and get informed on a variety of issues as it borders on the economy. I'm Sunday Michael Ogu. Let's do this again tomorrow.
And if you have the time, you want to go attend the conference physically, the Daily Trust Dialogue, you can just go to the NAF Conference Center and be part of the conversation. Our sports show will be coming your way at the top of the hour. But my name is Martia Umar. This is where we call it a close for this morning. See you again.